Alright, what is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? We're back and we're doing some Journey into Nick spoilers. People wanted to see me or hear me talk about the spoilers, so we're going to do that up to today and see what we've got. I'm going to probably skip over the ones that aren't really Commander relevant because that's what the deck is or that's what my channel is focused on, is Commander primarily, and the ones that just aren't, they're filler cards or they're just constructed or limited cards only, I'm gonna kind of skip. Both of these cards kind of fit that theme of being just basically constructed / limited cards. So we're gonna skip them. They're fine cards in their own right, but then we're gonna go right down to Godsend. Or yeah, it's an legendary artifact equipment, and it is pretty cool. I like this card a lot. It's mythic rare, and equipped creature gets +3/+3 whenever equipped creature blocks or becomes blocked by one or more creatures. You may exile one of those creatures, and opponents can't cast cards with the same name as cards exiled with Godsend. Or Godsend. I guess that's another debate as to how you pronounce the name of the card. And it's 1 white, so it's 3 mana, costs 3 to equip. I don't think this is a broken card. I think it's an okay card for Commander. I think it's powerful, but I don't think it's insane by any means. But its playability in Commander kind of depends on how much it's actually going to cost. I feel like actually its price is going to make determine how much it actually sees play. If it's cheap, if it's not constructed playable, I think you'll see it more because then people will be able to pick it up. And I don't think it's constructed playable. It's not been Legacy, Modern, and Standard. I just don't see this as being very good. There's too much spot removal, creature removal. But it's a card I'd like to try out in my Heliod deck, the Devotion deck, and I have a lot of Stoneforge targets, so it's pretty cool. And the card next to it is one of the cycle of bestow creatures that have a drawback, and all those cards are completely terrible for Commander. None of those you probably want to see unless you're all in on Commander damage, and this guy is just not very good. I would not play him. So there we go. Another card with a drawback with Bestow, and then Dacrymystic. So Dacrymystic is a 1 mana 1/1. Each player reveals top card of his or her library and put the revealed cards into their opponent's graveyards. If you don't, each player draws a card. So this is another card that could see some play, because you get to see what your opponent's going to draw and see what you draw. So if you're going to draw a really sweet card that you need, and your opponent's drawing some blank, you can decide whether or not to let that opponent draw. Or if you're playing in a Nekusar or the Mind Razor deck, where you're going to ping your opponents for every time you draw a card, this is going to see some play. So it's an interesting card. I don't think it's insanely powerful, but it actually has a good effect. So I'm kind of interested to see what it does, and it's a Merfolk, so there are some Merfolk decks running around, and it's a blue card, so there it is. And then, we went too far down. So we've got Dictate of Kruphix and Hypnotic Siren. So Dictate is a 1 blue flash. Beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an initial card. It's an enchantment, so it's a Howling Mind. But it's blue, and it's his flash, so you can flash it in at the end of your opponent's turn. So that's pretty powerful thing to have with Howling Mind. I know when I was playing my Feldegriff deck, one of the great things to be able to do was to flash in Howling Mind and Font of Mythos at the end step of the player before you draw. That way you get the benefit first instead of your opponent getting the benefit first. It's fine. It's not a great card. I think it'll see some play. I think it'll see more play than Howling Mind because people will try to take advantage of the flash ability. But also, Nekusar the Mind Razor is going to love this guy because it's just another Howling Mind. It's another Howling Mind, and it's a Howling Mind you can work around. The Hypnotic Siren is basically not that great. It's a 1/1 flyer for 1. Or you can bestow it for 7, and basically it's Spirit Away, which was an Avacyn Restored, which is 7 mana, and you give enchanted creature +2/+2 in flying, and you mind control that creature away. So I feel like this is worse than that, because rarely are you going to want a Hypnotic Siren. I think of any deck that's going to want this, it's going to be Edric, and I'm not a fan of Edric. Maybe also Sig River Cutthroat will want this, but you know, those kind of decks will benefit from this kind of card, but otherwise, you'd just rather not play it. These cards, so Sage of Hours, he has a Time Walk ability. He's a 1 blue, 1/1. Heroic, whenever you cast a spell target Sage of Hours, put a +1/+1 counter in it. Remove all +1/+1 counters from Sage of Hours. For each 5 counters removed this way, take an extra turn. So if you have a way to just target this guy with random spells, like you have Storm and I don't even know, but if you have some way to just make lots of spells that target him without killing him, you can take extra turns. I feel like this card is really unplayable in EDH, unless you're playing the Blue-Green General that came out in Return to Ravnica block. I'm trying to forget his name, but he can double +1/+1 counters. So if you've got that guy and you've got a one way to target him, maybe you can get there, but I feel like you should just stay away from him. And this card, Interpret the Signs, is also not too terrible in ADH because you can scry 3, reveal the top card, and then draw cards equal to its converted mana cost. So if you have an expensive deck, it's okay, but not the best. For 6 mana, you'd probably rather do other things. We're going to scroll down to Scourge of Fleets. This card seems like it will be rather annoyingly powerful in EDH, to be honest. When he enters the battlefield, you turn each creature your opponent's control with toughness X or less to its owner's hand, where X is the number of islands you control. So you're going to want to mostly play a mono blue deck. And you know how I feel like about the upheaval cards, like Cyclonic Rift, Upheaval, those kind of cards, I don't know, they just don't sit well with me, they don't float well with me. I don't know what it is, but he's going to be something of that level. He does have a 6/6, and also he has the blink, bounce, abusability. I mean, I don't think he'll be insane, but I'm definitely going to play some mono blue decks. They're going to play it, and it's going to be annoying. And then we have Starfish, who can scry 1 and is an 0/3, so good for that thing. Constellation, that's a new mechanic. So basically, it triggers whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield to your control. So whenever this or another battlefield enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, target creature can't block. Not a good EDH card. You have Doomlake Giant. So whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, creatures get -1/-1. So it's not really that great. Might see some EDH play, but doubtful. Extinguish All Hope, we've got a Wrath effect. Destroy all non-enchantment creatures. You'd rather just have Damnation, unless you're playing all enchantment creatures. Not a great card. And then we've got another Bestow creature with a drawback. Pretty much just sucks. For EDH, at least. Silence the Believers. He costs 2 and a black more to cast for each target beyond the first. Exile any number of target creatures and or all auras attached to them. And EDH, you should just play Sever the Bloodline. This is almost never going to be bad. People are not playing Bestow in EDH. As long as I've seen it, I've not seen it. And he's fine. I'm sure someone will play it. Exiling is powerful, but Sever the Bloodline is going to be better. And Squelching Leeches, which is like a nightmare. Or there is another card that gets more powerful for each swamp you control. He's fine, but there are better cards to be playing. Cyclops of Eternal Fury is 6 mana, 5/3 creatures you control have haste. He's alright, not the best. Might see some play. Dictator of Twin Gods, Flash. Enchantment for 3 and 2 red. If Swords would deal damage to a permanent or a player, it deals double that damage to a permanent or player instead. There are some decks that like to play this kind of effect. They're playing things like I can't think of the names. It's been a while since I've seen these cards, but it's alright. The fact that it has Flash is a little bit relevant, but otherwise it's just kind of a symmetrical card that gives benefit. If you're playing mono red and you've got a lot of high damage effects, I guess it's okay, but I'm not expecting to see this card all too much. Eidolon of the Great Rebel. What a long name that is. Whenever a player casts a spell with converted mana cost 3 or less, this does 2 damage to that player. and it's a 2/2 for 2 red. It's a pyrostatic pillar that costs 2 red, and it has a 2/2 creature. It's not an EDH card. It's attempting to be a constructed card. Maybe it will be. I don't know. And we got another drawback bestow guy. Not very good. Having a 2/2 for 2 with a drawback does not seem where you want to be. Satyr Hoplite. A heroic card. Heroic cards basically see no play in EDH. And then we've got Spawn of Thraxus. When this enters the battlefield, it deals damage to target creature or player equal number of mountains you control. For 7 mana. And it's a 5/5. It might be okay in like a kiki-jiki deck. I'm thinking it's like a Flame Tongue Dragon, basically, for 7 mana. So it's a little expensive, but you have to find a card to cut if you want to add this. And as far as my kiki-jiki deck goes, I don't know what I would cut. But if you've got like a less powerful version, you could actually add this in, and it would be pretty good. I mean, typically he's going to do between 5 to 7 damage in a mono red deck. I mean, if you have Soul Ring, of course you're not going to have 7 mana out right away, but I think he's going to be pretty good in EDH, and he'll be fine. 5/5 flying is nothing to be afraid of. And then we've got Spite of Mogus. Not an EDH card, unless they're playing maybe... No, it's not an EDH card. I don't see why you need to ever play this. Eidolon of Blossoms. So this is going to be an enchantment-focused deck. If you want to just play a ton of enchantments, I know there are some enchantress decks in EDH. Whenever this or another enchantment in the battlefield in your control, draw a card. So I might be making an enchantress deck at some point. It's something I've been wanting to do, but I've never gotten around to doing. If I did, I would play this if it was a green deck. So there that is. Alright, Hero's Bane. It's a 3 green, well, 0/0, but it enters the battlefield with 4 +1/+1 counters on it. And you can double the counters on it equal to its power. Basically, pay 2 green, put X +1/+1 counters on Hero's Bane, where X is its power. So, if you have equipment on it, you can double its counters faster. I think the most recent Hydra that was printed in M14 is a little better, but he has potential to get crazy. All the Hydras have potential to get crazy, but he's okay. I don't think he's the biggest deal in the world. Kruvik's Insight. If you're playing an enchantment deck, you might want that. Otherwise, it's not going to be very good. Alright, another guy with Vigilance and Monstrosity. So he's basically... and he's just not an EDH card. Let's put it at that. And then this is a fight card. I mean, I don't see fight being huge in EDH, except for the 1/1 for 1 who makes target creatures fight. This one, not as exciting. Another bestow card with a drawback. Nothing will... This will not see an EDH play unless it's a weak deck. We've got a Johnny, the first green-white planeswalker in existence. So that's pretty exciting. It's something that people have been wanting and begging for the longest time. So if you can't read what his text says, it says distribute for +1, you up him. Distribute 3 +1/+1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures you control. So you can basically put 3 counters on any creatures you control as you wish. You can't target opponent's creatures, so if they have like a Phantasmal Image, you can't kill them with that. That's relevant. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an aura, creature, or a planeswalker card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So you get the impulse for aura, creature, or planeswalker. That seems interesting. If you obviously don't have any creatures, you're going to impulse or use the second +1. If you have creatures that you want to kill people with, you're going to use the other +1. He's 5 mana, so he's kind of expensive. He starts at 4. And his ultimate, which I think is pretty awful, I mean, you can gain 100 life. So hopefully if you're at -8, you're going to be winning anyway. But are you ever going to be at the point where you need to gain 100 life? Maybe you've got some of those effects where when you gain life, your opponents lose life. You can just kill them, but that's going to be in a black deck. So you have to have like green, white, black decks to take advantage of that. Or you could have one of those gain life decks that win when you're at 40 or more life. Those are always so fun to play against. So He's okay. I mean, it would be fun to try. He's pre-ordering at a huge price, so I feel like he's going to die down, so I would not recommend you investing your life savings in Johnny's at this moment. He'll be fun to try if I can get him for reasonable cost. I might try him, but otherwise, he's not that exciting. Here we go. The two gods I've liked so far. Iroas got a victory. Is 2 red white. He's a 7/4. He got 7 power. That's insane. So he's a 3-hit kill on commander with the commander damage. Indestructible like all the other gods are. As long as your devotion is less than 7 with red and white, he's not a creature. And creatures you control cannot be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to attacking creatures you control. So he's a goblin war drums. You need 2 creatures to be blocked, any one of your creatures, and he has the battlefield medic ability where you attack and your creatures cannot have damage dealt to them. So that's pretty sweet. He seems really good as a red-white commander. If you're going to be aggressive, I like him a lot more than the most recent... What was the most recent guy from Dragon's Mage? It was like Tajik, maybe, was his name? He seems really good. He's going to be really hard to deal with because you're going to be attacked. You can't block very well, and you can't kill their creatures through blocking. He's going to be a huge pain to try and deal with. I'm not looking forward to seeing him on the other side of the table. Hopefully I can try to play with him. I feel like he's going to have a high price on him because people are going to try to play with him in Standard. Maybe Modern, but definitely in Standard, so it's going to be interesting. And we have Kronos, God of Storm, so it's the blue-red god people have been waiting for. He's a 5-mana guy. He's a 6/5, and he's got the same claws as all the multicolored gods. He needs a devotion of 7 in both his colors, or either one of them. Reveal the first card you draw on each of your turns. Whenever a land card is revealed this way, draw a card. So you draw a card if you see a land, which is pretty nice. You get to draw 2 cards a turn. But if you don't reveal a land, you get to deal 3 damage to target creature or player. So you either get a free land or you get to lightning bolt somebody. Which is kind of interesting. He's definitely going to be good. He's going to be good against planeswalkers, because if your opponent has planeswalkers, you get to lightning bolt them, or you get to draw a free card. So I would like to try him out as well. These are the 2 cards I really want to build around. Other than that, the other god, he seems also very good and very annoying. So let's get to him. He's the newest one, Crewfix. God of the Horizon, blue-green, my favorite commander combination. 3 blue-green. Indestructible, he's only a 4/7, so that's not as terrifying as a 7/4 or a 6/5. As long as your devotion to green and blue is less than 7, he's not a creature. You have no maximum hand size, so he's a reliquary tower on a stick, and if unused mana would be empty from your mana pool, that mana becomes colorless instead. So, if you can't see what that says, he becomes similar to Omnath, where you get to bank all of your extra mana every turn until you need to use it. Unfortunately, unlike Omnath, you cannot use colored mana, you just have to bank colorless mana instead. Well, unlike Omnath, he has got blue attached to him, and blue can do a lot of annoying things. Blue has access to Teferi, it has access to what's the newest, the Cursor of Crewfix, is basically just built, obviously, in awe of this guy because they both have 4 arms, and he's the prophet of Crewfix. Yeah, all the Crewfix cards are just banking on doing things like this. The prophet has flash, it untaps all your lands, lets you play creatures on your opponent's turns. So basically you can just bank the mana on your opponent in your turn, untap, cast things flash speed. This is going to be a super annoying deck. If you thought Momor Vig was annoying, just wait till this guy hits you. Teferi, Seedborn Muse, Prophet of Crewfix, Cursor of Crewfix, Flash. It's just going to be a nightmare. Yeah, just wait for blue-green decks like Edric, Momir Vig, and this guy just... Oh, and who's the other one from the blue-green champion? What was her name? Or the blue-green guild leader. The one who draws cards equal to the powers of your opponent's creatures you control. Yeah, this is going to be a nightmare. I mean, maybe I'll try build this at one point, but I'm not in a hurry to do it. I just don't. I don't know what it is about blue-green. It's going to... Also, someone's going to just jam this into Maelstrom Wanderer deck and, go off. There that is. Underworld Crimesmith, he's a white-black. He's not a commander card. I don't really think he's a commander guy. He's just alright. Alright, enough ranting about blue-green, how much I love it. Hall of Triumph. Creatures you control get +1/+1 of the chosen color when you enter the battlefield. So 3 mana. It's an artifact booster. Something that hasn't really happened outside of like Cage Sun. But people love their anthems. I think it's another anthem, and people who want and decks that want anthems. And we got the red-blue Scryland. Not a fan of this art. I don't know what it is. I think it's the design of the temple itself. I'm just not a fan. And we've got the next one was spoiled, the Temple of Melady, the green-black Scrylands. So those decks that wanted Scrylands will get them. That's my journey onto Nick's thoughts so far. Crewfix. A sigh. That's just a sigh. And Iroas is going to be insane. And then Karanos. They're actually pretty good commander cards, all of them. Johnny, not as much. But, yeah, let me know what you guys think. I know I didn't remember all the card names. I haven't been playing a ton in the last couple of weeks, so my memory of each card has dwindled slightly because of school. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you all next time, and hopefully we'll get to use some more spoilers. And see you next time.